Hello, fabulous people. This is the Together podcast, and this is the place where Sharice and I come together to help you get it together for your everyday business life. So we hope you enjoy.
Hey, happy Tuesday and welcome to the Together podcast with Natalie E. and Sharice B. And we have our guest today, Kymmie Marshae. And how are you, Kymmie?
I am fantastic, Sharice. How are you?
Amazing. So let me tell you, we're in for a really great topic today. Let me tell you right now out there in the audience, please share, comment, tell somebody about this podcast because it's going to be good today. All right. Kymmie is our first guest. All right. Yeah, you are. So that's pretty exciting. And this happened last week when I was sharing with her some of the things that you shared with me. It really started with your figures are in your follow-up. So when I shared that, I told her it came from you, my strategy coach. She was like, oh, yeah, you need to ask her if she can come on with you next week when I'm not here. So excited about that. We made it happen. That's what we do. So absolutely, audience out there with the Together podcast, please share, comment. All right. Tap in and comment today. Let us know what you have to say, what you feel, if you have anything to add to the topic today. And we are going to jump in. Our topic today is from transitions to triumphs, navigating the big life changes with.
Okay, thank you. So my name is Kymmie Marshae. Sharice will be right back in, I'm sure. So just to tell you a little bit about me, as she said, I'm her strategist coach. And one of the things that I really drill down on is helping people become clear in the strategies that they need in their ecosystems. And so I've been working with Sharice now for probably 2 years. And it has been a wonderful ride with her. I am so happy to partner with her. And I'm grateful to be here with you guys today. So I'm new to you and you're new to me. If you could do me a favor, please let's tell Natalie how much we appreciate her for still having this podcast for you guys to make sure that she did not miss a beat. Okay? So let's drop some hearts and emojis and love in the podcast for Natalie. Because you know what? She was thinking about you to make sure she had consistency for you. Is that all right? So let's see. I don't know if I can see them, but I know Reese will be able to see them. And if you're looking at this from the replay, you can drop those in too.
Hey, I made it back.
Right back.
Forgive me. I'll be jumping back in on the computer also. Tapping out of here so I can stay on Facebook. Thank you so much, Kymmie. You are amazing. You know how to jump in, tap in, and keep it moving.
No problem.
All right. So I didn't want to interrupt. What were you saying to the audience so I can help continue?
No problem. I was just letting them know who I am a little bit and how I've been working with you and why I've been working with you and how long I've been working with you. And I asked them to give Natalie some love because, sometimes when we have to step away, we don't always have someone we can get to fill in our shoes and keep the beat rolling. But the audience doesn't, they shouldn't have to suffer for that. And so I think that is fantastic leadership. And I just asked them to give Natalie some love because I'm honored to be here today. And I just wanted them to love on her for making sure that consistency happened.
Awesome and amazing. And it's absolutely true. I love the way Natalie and I flow. I love the way my ecosystem flows. My community is just absolutely amazing. Even like now, like the computer wasn't plugged up because I moved. I'm like, And then I totally forgot that you stay. So thank God you get to stay on. So shout out to Zoom for that technology.
Yes.
Yeah, so our topic today is from transitions to triumph. Okay, and navigating that with grace. And who better to talk to this topic about than Kymmie Marshae? All right. And you gave them a bit of your story and why we work together. And I'll let you start out. Just letting us know, you already told them a bit about who you are, but Tell us about a bit about your transitions and triumphs and how you navigated them with grace.
Thank you, first of all, once again, for having me. This topic for me, when I saw the topic, I was like, oh, it stole my breath for the simple fact I just went through, and slightly I'm still going through this. Mm-hmm. So I felt like this was divine alignment for me to be here today and talk about this topic. I'm going to tell a story, if that's okay with you, that something happened to me which makes this topic relevant for me. Is that all right?
Oh, yes.
Wonderful. So let's see. It started probably the summer of 2024. Mm-hmm. I noticed that I had started having some, and I'm going to just be very transparent and vulnerable.
Please do. Please do.
I want to help and serve and add value here. Mm-hmm. So I started noticing that I was having some problems with my nipple, and I was having like a discharge, and it started getting, more sticky, and I was able to see it. It was odorless, and my nipples started changing shape. And I know they're like, what in the world is this about? But just stick with me. Stay in the car, y'all. I'll be going somewhere. And so I had to do that awkward follow-up with that. And when I did, the doctor took a very long time to find it because it was hard for him to find it. And one of the things that they were concerned about, of course, was, is this or is this not cancerous? Well, they didn't think that it was from the symptoms, but they still had to make sure. Mm-hmm. So I had to go through this process, and I had to get a biopsy, of course. And in the midst of the biopsy, they put these little bitty surgical clips in the event they had to go and operate. Mm-hmm. Well, in this process, when I got the test results back, thank God it was not cancer. However, when I spoke to the surgeon, we came to the conclusion that it would be proactive to remove it. This is the backdrop. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I said, okay, let's take it out. I don't want to come back and be worried about this some years later. Let's go. Let's do it. She said, well, I need bigger clips for you to have put in so that I can do the surgery so I can see them better, because those aren't big enough. I said, okay, fine. The very same doctor that found it, took his time, showed up in good energy, great patience. Mm-hmm. This is the same doctor that did the second set of surgery clips. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, this is where the story ties in. Mm-hmm. During the procedure of putting in the surgery clips, which shouldn't have taken more than 10 minutes, you're awake for this process. They numb you. You can feel it. It's like very uncomfortable pressure. They clip one of my blood vessels in my breast. Mm. Mm. And when they do that, Sharice, blood starts coming back out at me. It was like a movie. It starts mm-hmm. It freaked the doctor out. It freaked the nurse out. And it freaked me out.
Of course.
I got to the point where I almost fainted. They started taking my clothes off and fanning me, trying to cool my body down. I threw up very vigorously. And it was a bad situation. Long and short, I ended up with a massive hematoma, bigger than my hand, in my breast. Mm. For those of you who do not know what a hematoma is, it's a collection, a pool, not a blood clot, a pool, a fluid moving pool of blood. Mm. And it is excessively painful. Mm. I couldn't even have the surgery to remove the mass. Mm. So they waited 30 days, which I really think they should have waited longer. But they waited 30 days, right? And when they went in, because the hematoma was right there where the mass was, it created even more problems. Mm. Long and short, I was on my back for 90 days. When I say I was on my back, I couldn't write. I couldn't type. I could barely roll over and move my arm. I was in terrible pain, screaming, pain. Mm. The next set of 30 days, it took for me to be able to get off the sofa, because I couldn't even lay in the bed flat. I had to sleep somewhere sitting up because of the pressure. If you can't tell, I'm pretty hefty on top. So this was like really awkward, Reezy.
Yeah. And
thank God I had people to love and support me through it. My cousin Debbie really got me through it. But at any rate, so here's the part that connects to the story. I'm laying there, and when you're higher minded, when you're aligned in the spirit realm of understanding who you really are in that higher minded stuff of you, you refuse to accept certain things, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Right. So I said, listen, I can't change having to go through this, but I can change what I come out with.
Yeah.
And I'm not coming out empty handed.
Right.
I'm not coming out empty handed, God. I don't know what you're going to give me, but you're going to give me something to walk out of this with. And my family was like, you need to sue them. You need to sue them. This is a very well reputable hospital. I was like, no, I'm not. And I'm going to tell you why. Because when that man took his time to find that mass in my body that they couldn't find at first, he was patient. He was diligent. I felt his energy and I knew he meant me well.
Right.
So I said, I'm not going to do that. Now hold that note, because I feel like it had a lot to do with when I tell you what I came out with. I feel like that energy that I sold on bestowing him and covering him from energy to energy, because energy begets energy, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Right. I feel like that's part of why I came out with what I came out with. So when I got to the point where I could finally write, I first started writing with my left hand because I couldn't write with my right. So I would scribble the notes. And I just felt like God was getting ready to drop it. He was getting ready to give it to me. He was getting ready to give it to me. And Lord and behold, when he showed me what he showed me, it had something to do with everything in the area that I needed to grow, that my strengths were not in, that I needed to outsource, connect to others too, had been studying because I knew it wasn't in my lane, but that I needed that in my lane. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
When I tell you that he decided to give me an impartation of knowledge in an area that I had no business having, because God, I wonder, and I know that some people may or may not be watching this live, they may be on the replay, but I just wonder, has God ever given them something that they know they didn't deserve or that they needed, and that they knew that it was only God, that the reason that they had that? I would like to see the replay and go back and see what they say. I would like to see what they tap in there.
Yes.
So y'all do us a favor and put that. What did God give you that you knew you didn't deserve, or that you knew you really needed, and you knew that when you got it, it came from nobody but the Most High God?
Yes.
Please put it in there, because I'm going to go back and read it. You're going to read it too?
Yes.
I know Right. So I can't wait to see what they say. But anyway, back to the story. So when I came out of this, he started giving me nuggets in marketing. Now, I had been studying stuff for years because I was so clueless in that area. I deal more with the intricate parts of strategy, dealing with your retention and building your ecosystems and helping people get their price point structures together and getting them ready so that they can deal with themselves as a CEO and get ready for P&Ls and all that type of intricate stuff, right? I didn't have the marketing piece. That was not my lane. But we all know that you need the marketing on the outside in order to bring your business forward, right?
Oh, yeah.
Right. You need it. You can't do without it, especially with the internet being what it is today, right?
Exactly.
So for me to get that, it was a present, Reese. It was a present. Sharice, he began to put the pieces together. And when I tell you, when I rolled this event out, I'm just planning it because I'm a strategist. So you know what I do? I put things in order and put the plan systems around them, right? Reese, when I began to roll out what he gave me, I could not do nothing but cry because I knew that those nuggets had came from God. And I was able to sit back and say, dang, you gave me that? This is going to be the dopest event that someone has ever participated in about marketing. Watch what I tell you. That's how confident I am about what I got. And I said, I'm almost done. I said, you know what? I knew you was going to give me something, but I didn't know it was going to be to this magnet. Watch this. Why did I get that grace? Oh my God. And you know what flashed in front of me, Reese?
Yeah.
Was the same, thank you, the same grace that I gave that doctor. Energy begets energy.
Yeah, energy begets energy.
And that was how I relate to this transition, how I can understand having that triumph, how I can understand having the grace, and how I can understand the navigations between them. Because when this happens to you, you're coming out with something. You're not going to, you cannot be empty. And that's my story on how I relate to this topic.
Yeah. Yes, I love it. Here's the thing. You said something so key. You have to be connected. You have to know what you know that you know. Okay. And the only way you can get there is be connected. And also, Natalie and I talk about purpose often, Kymmie. You are in your purpose without a doubt. You knew on that table in this moment, it is not a time for me to be scared, be fearful. It is not a time for me to even be guessing. Let me help these people help me. Let me help these people keep me alive. Because fear and frustration and, devastation could have put those people in a state of fear. So you help them help you. And on the other side of it, you gave them grace. So you gave them grace in the moment, and you gave them grace in the current situation, and then on the back end. And how blessed must they feel? Because how many people are going to sue people when it really isn't valid? No, because we're a team. You save me, I save you. Okay, we are a team, we are a community. And I think that was so mature, that was so insightful. That was purpose work. Because listen, purpose work ain't just in business. Purpose work is soul work, right? So that means if I am in any situation, if I am moving and operating in my purpose, I'm going to move and operate in that purpose right then and there so I can think. While other people are panicking and losing it, nah, I got to be in my purpose and who I am and who I know I am and my connectedness to source, right? Because that's the key. Your connectedness to source and your alignment. So, honey, congratulations for helping them save you and you saving them. Like I love that because it's still community. Like tap in with me, people. We talk a lot of business here, but what we are spiritual people. We know who we are. We know whose we are. Okay. You can't operate in business and you can't operate in personal life if you don't know.
Absolutely. You brought out a key point, if I may tap in on it. Mm-hmm. I didn't even tell this part. And when you say connection, this is a prime example because of the level of way you and I are connected, the way you and I build and serve community together.
Yes.
You tapped into what I didn't even say. And this is the part that I didn't even get out. And I don't even know if you know this part of the story. I know you know the story, but I don't even know if you know this part. Mm-hmm. When that began happening, I did not allow myself to soak in, oh my God, I'm about to die, because I felt what was transitioning into my body because I told them before they realized that it had been pricked. Mm-hmm. And so while he apologized for how much pressure he had to put on my breast because he had to stop the bleeding. Mm-hmm. They couldn't stop it. It just kept coming, right? Mm-hmm. I said to myself, I left speaking with just the flesh me, and I started tuning into the higher me. And I said, I got to help them help me. Help me help them. Help me, God. Help me help them. And I began telling them what to do. I said, you got to sit me up. My body can't take laying down right now. Start taking off my clothes. You got to get me colder. I said, apply more pressure because I'm about to throw up. Now, this. In that process, Do you know what was on my mind? Most people probably would think that what was on my y'all text and put it there in the chat. I want to see if they know. What do y'all think was on my mind? I bet I know what most people probably thought was on my mind.
Hey, Natalie. Purpose work and soul work. Tap all the way in. Welcome to your Together podcast, Natalie.
Who is that? Awesomeness. Most people probably thought, Sharice, that I thought that I was getting ready to die. But I wasn't. I refused to receive that thought. I told it to shut up. Go sit down. Shut up. They didn't even know who I was talking to because I said it out loud. I said, go sit down and shut up. I got time for you right now. I did, because I had to get back to that higher mindedness. And guess what? You tapped into this. You know what was on my mind? The purpose. I have too much work to do for these people to help these entrepreneurs get to where they need to go to build their ecosystem, because I'm all about making sure entrepreneurs are economically empowered. Because I know when they're economically empowered, Sharice, guess what happens? Guess what happens?
What happens? Girl, tell me.
They financially impact their families. They financially impact their communities. They financially impact their cities. They financially impact their states. And they ultimately build to the largest growing economy in the world, which is ours, the strongest economy. I don't care what people say about us. We are a force to be reckoned with in the United States of America. And the backbone is built off of entrepreneurship. Yeah. So I know that if I can help entrepreneurs get their ecosystems inside their businesses together, they're going to become economically empowered. And it's going to tap into all those ways that I said it, the families, the communities. They're going to build buildings. They're going to hire people. Yeah. So I have to stay tuned into the purpose, because I got work to do.
Yes. Yes.
So I was like, you tapped into it again. So you didn't even know that. But I'm sitting here telling God, come on, God, I'm saying everything that I did not get to finish. I don't have time for this. You got to get me up off. This is what I'm saying. You got to get me up off of this table and let's go.
Yeah. Yeah. Real talk. Real talk. Woo, that right there. How many people, and to be honest, people say, oh, when it's your time, it's your time. It is true. But how many people could save their own lives and lives when they know their purpose, when they are operating in their purpose, and you can articulate that thing in that moment, in that critical moment? If you can articulate through your purpose, you hear me? Articulate through your purpose. Okay, I got work to do, and let me tell you exactly what that work is. I know what it is. I ain't even playing with you. I have to boom, 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 boom. I have to impact the people, the communities, the families. Oh, okay, boom, send them angels. Get her up off that table, right? What, girl?
You know what? After I started feeling and moving forward, because God will remind you sometimes. You know what I saw? That hematoma was my hero.
You better come on.
I didn't think about my 10 grandkids, almost 11 that I'm about to have another list, so I said 11, that I love. That's my favorite people in the whole wide world, and I don't think nobody's better than grandkids.
Right.
I didn't think about them or my beautiful children. I didn't think about materialistic things. I didn't think about things that I haven't gone to do, like go to different countries because I love to travel. I thought about my purpose.
It is. And Natalie said, talk about that legacy building. Yes, this is the legacy building. One thing about you, I know about you, Kymmie, is that you are building this, like you said, for your grandchildren, but you don't just talk about it. You literally, by the day, are pouring into them, by the day, by the minute, by the moment, by the time that you spend with them, and in a way that they can embody it and go and use it in their daily lives today as children, which is part of the programming, right? So we talk about deprogramming, we talk about reprogramming. That's deprogramming. Matter of fact, they don't even need to be deprogrammed because you're programming them the proper way.
Yes, thank you. I received that. Thank you. Absolutely.
Okay, and that's why I know your purpose is so big and so important, because people have to learn how to program their children now.
Yeah. Let me give you a good example. Um, you tapping in so well, you don't even know it. So one of my grandkids, he doesn't like school, never has been a fan of school. He goes because he has to go. And we had to learn that getting C's for this child is like getting A's.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And when you can understand that, then you can give that grace.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to tap this into the legacy building, I promise. So, in order to build the legacy while they are growing up, what I have learned as a grandmother is that you got to see them first. One thing to leave them money and to leave them land and to leave them property and leave them IP type things, so that they can go on and do something with it, or jewelry or heirlooms or whatever it may be. But what about those ways that you identify them specific between them, the spirit, and their purpose? Because as they're growing, they're showing you who they are, at least right now. While he may not be the A honor roll student and a C is a challenge for him because he doesn't like school at all, there has to be something that interests him. He has to have something in life, right? So I said, in order to help him build where he needs to be, I've got to find out what interests him. And I began speaking to him just to see where he was at. And you know what he told me? They call me Gigi. He says, Gigi, I want to flip houses. I want to get into real estate. I don't want to go to college. I want to go straight away into making money, setting my life up, and doing something that I like. And I think that I'm going to like flipping houses.
Wow.
So you know what I did? I went in there and I started finding the people who run that lane. And I'm taking him to a seminar this summer. And I'm going to start giving him YouTubes. I'm compiling the list now of getting him interested in the videos that are going to talk about flipping houses. And I'm making him do reports and regurgitate it back to me what the video taught him. Now I'm teaching him how to analyze. I'm teaching him how to research. I'm teaching him how to compile information. I'm teaching him how to give reports. I'm teaching him how to speak to someone. I'm teaching him how to be strategic. I'm teaching him how to be analytical. That's legacy building.
It's legacy building. That is.
Legacy building doesn't always look like the commas and the zeros in the bank accounts and the trust.
Yes. I love it. Like, did y'all hear that? And when you were saying it, I was thinking it. I was like, legacy building is empowering them with the knowledge they need. And also, what did he say? You have to listen to the children or any human. When they are clear and concise about what they want, they deserve the opportunity. And who else to give them the opportunity, right? So I remember I met a gentleman. Him and his guys have a podcast that he grew up with. He told me a story about his son and gaming. And he said his son knew very early. Well, first of all, his son was getting in trouble for gaming, right? Doing too much. What are you doing? Like, why are you so obsessed with this? He basically, kind of went in there and did a little research about, okay, so this is a thing. So the son was clear. I don't want to go to school. I don't want to go to college. I want a game. And of course, the average mind is like, you ain't gonna game. You ain't gonna play no games. You are going to school. Well, he was getting C's in school, right? And the teachers kept calling the parents. And the dad finally was like, listen, leave him alone about these C's. We're not worried about these C's. He's not going to college. We're clear. He's clear. I'm putting him on the path. And that young man now is making a living off of gaming, a good living off gaming, because he gave him that opportunity. So that's a living testimonial to what you're doing for your grandchild. Yes. And it's really funny because grandparents do understand your purpose. It's not too late. It's not over. you're not unsung. It's you are the one. It's your wisdom that is going to close the gap. You are the glue, grandparents. You are the glue. So do not let anyone else. So you seasoned millennials and you Gen Xers, who's before Gen Xers, anyway, grandparents and great grandparents. You the glue. And don't you forget that.
Amen. And you know something too? It could be the older aunties or the old,
Yeah, for sure.
that can fill and close those gaps too. Because when we think about this topic right here, um, when you think about grace, that fits this topic too. Because in order for him to triumph, we had to give him grace to make seeds. We had to give him grace to say, okay, if you're not going to college, then what are you going to do? Let's find something else to connect you to. Mm-hmm. Instead of trying to make him fit into the box of society and what other expectations that the family may have in their mindsets for him.
Right.
That's grace too, because grace is a powerful word. It can show up in different sectors. Yes. I began telling the story about the grace, and that was more in a divine spiritual perspective, right? But when you look at grace like this, it's the ability to be open enough to cover you and allow there to be some change going on that fits what we discussed about the grandparents and about the story about the child when he was gaming. Mm-hmm. So I think this is such a profound topic because you're able to see grace flowing through. It flows through anything that you're trying to do when you want to succeed or be triumph. You can't have it without it.
Mm-hmm. It's true. And it's there for you. It's available to you in abundance. But you have to meet it. Your attitude and your faith and your belief has to meet it.
Let me ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, this is not a rehearsed podcast.
No.
So when you said that, what I started thinking about in the abundance is how a lot of times I don't think people think that they're worth it or that they have the ability to, as you say, activate it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I think that would just really go very well with everything that we said. And I believe it would add so much value to the listeners hearing that. And I know how you just reign in that lane.
Mm-hmm. And the abundance?
Yeah, activating the abundance.
Activating the abundance, yeah.
Abundance and grace particularly.
Yeah, so first of all, it starts with facing self. Pretty much when you ask me about anything, it's about facing self. Okay, let's become self-aware of anything that could be blocking you from your abundance, from your grace, from anything that you desire for any birthright. Okay, because let's be clear, it's your birthright. But if you've been programmed that it's not your birthright and it's not available to you, you're gonna act like you don't know that the abundance and the grace is available to you, right? And for example, people who are continuing to operate in lack. Okay, and lack in many ways, lack in your money, lack in your faith, lack in your relationships. So lack is just, looming over you because you don't know that the abundance in everything is available to you. It's a choice. Kymmie, on that table, you chose to operate in your abundance, not in lack and not in fear. Okay. So that's why you got to keep the right tribe and the right community around you. Okay. And when it comes to, maybe you are now operating in lack and in fear and, just not really knowing and believing and understanding, what is available to you. The way that you activate that is number one, the self-assessment. Where am I? Why am I here? Why do I keep operating in these same habits these same actions that aren't serving me and taking me to where I want to be. Okay. One, clarity. Okay. So in that self-assessment, you will get clarity. Clarity is key. Because if you know what you want, if you know who you are and you know what you want, and then you are discovering how to get there and how to become, there lies your answer. Okay. And then there lies your purpose work. When you get clear about who you are, what you want, how to get there, your purpose work is in there. It's in there. You're already in your purpose. You're just taking it for granted because you don't realize, like, oh, it's so easy. This is easy. People call me about this every day. They get on my nerves. No, it's your purpose work. So you got to look at that thing different. And you wonder why it's not in abundance. It's not in abundance because you see it as something that is aggravating you or on your nerves, or it's just something you do because it's normal to you. No, that's where your abundance is. In your purpose. You're in your purpose. And your abundance is in your purpose, in the clarity, in the self-awareness.
Oh man, that is so much meat right there, and so true. And I so co-sign everything you just said. You know, what it brings in on my mind is when we speak about the purpose and we speak about that purpose work, I think, and this is just me, I'm not saying I saw this in research or anything, but I think that a lot of times people are depressed, they're confused in their life, they're angry in their life, they have physical illnesses in their life because they have not tapped into their purpose. And it's a feeling that when you get in your purpose work, that just makes you radiate from the inside. You're excited. You're happy. You want to do certain things because purpose divides the things in you that's in your way and it makes them sit down. Yeah. And I know that when we tap into that purpose work, as you described, what ends up happening, Cherise, and you know this, and I know Natalie knows this, is that it makes you go farther in it. It makes you go faster in it. It makes you do it more, and you change from the inside out. When people are in their purpose work, they eventually have a glow about themselves, right? Yeah. A sparkle in their eyes and a pep in their step. Yeah. So I really like the fact that you said that.
Yeah, it's everything. You know, it's funny that has been a very common question as of late, you know, people asking about, you know, clarity and, you know, I don't know what I'm here for and I don't know what my purpose is. And you really do. And I think, you know, in our past, because of the program, and tap in, I need you to hear me. Part of the programming was that you didn't know your purpose. Part of the programming was that you did not tap into it because you would be too powerful.
Wow. You know what that reminds me of? So when I was a little girl and I would be in class, and I took a lot of honors classes, what they would call honors. We called it something different back in the day, but today they would call it honors. Mm-hmm. And I would be in class and I didn't want to hear what they were saying. It was boring to me, the majority of the subjects, except for math and science. And I would be in the classrooms and I would just daydream out the windows. And in my mind, I was seeing where I was and what I wanted to do. Now, I got in trouble a lot for daydreaming, and because especially back in the 60s, no one was talking about higher mindedness for the most part. I mean, we had the flower child, power child, you know, all that stuff, but we didn't quite understand it like we do today, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And no one realized that my imagination was being activated. Mm-hmm. I was foreseeing how I was going to show up in the world. Mm-hmm. And they took that as a negative. They took that as I was not focused, that I was daydreaming. When in my mind, I was already envisioning where I was going, what I was going to do, how I was going to do it, who I was going to connect with to get it done. And when we can tap into that energy in ourselves today, the purpose won't seem so cloudy. The purpose won't seem so far from us.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of us tapping into that self, like you said, that first self. And you got to stick with it sometimes. I think one of the best ways for a person to find that is to allow themselves the ability to sit there and write everything that just comes to their mind. Mm-hmm. When they get done, they would be amazed at what's on that paper without having to think about it, without having to hesitate what they're saying or how they're saying it. Because sometimes that same grace that we speak about, like grace it covers a multitude. I said it a few minutes ago. But sometimes you have to give your own self that grace. Sometimes you have to be the person that grants the grace, and you have to be the recipient of that grace, because you have to allow yourself your abilities to tap into your higher self. And if you don't do that, you're going to lose that connectivity of what that purpose could be when you don't know it.
Yeah. This went, I knew this would be powerful. But my mind, you got my mind blown right now, because I want to go in so many different directions. I feel compelled to say something that's going to ruffle a little feathers about the programming. And because you mentioned, you discovering the lights, you discovering, the things, in my words, that it was bigger than what they showed you. Okay. And, tap in and hear me, people. When I talk about the programming that we grew up in, everything that they lended to us, everything that they offered to us was programming. And I want you to hear me. And I'm so glad to see that so many of us have grown and opened ourselves up to more. Okay. Church was a programming. School was a programming. Okay. So everyone took us and put us in the Jesus box, when Jesus and God was never a box. They took the Jesus story and put us in that story, and that's how we had to live our lives. And it was always much more and so much bigger than that. But in order to serve the people, in order to be a good person, in order to be saved, you had to be in this house right here, in this church, under this pastor, under this leadership. No, when you are the leadership, you are the church, you are the pastor. You were then, you were born that. So I'm going to stop, because we're about to go all the way somewhere else right now. But I had to say that for the people, because I need you to understand what I say when I'm talking about programming. Every system that we came up in was a programming so that you wouldn't be in your purpose, that you would be an employee, and that you wouldn't tap into your power. That's why it's so important for you to figure out, understand. It's not figured out. It's really not a figuring out thing. It's really an understanding thing. It's an understanding of myself and what I reek of and who I am, what I do good, what I do best, what makes me feel amazing when I do it. It might be greeting people. It might be serving people. It might be your purpose. We think it's something that makes a ton of money. No. Like she said, the legacy building isn't about the commas. Right? So they got us tied to everything having to be, you got to make a lot of money to be in your purpose. You got to do this. You got to do, no. You just have to be the gift that God gave you. And everything else will come, because money is nothing but energy. That's it. And that's all. It's so much. And I'm going to stop right there. But I had to say that, Kymmie. And, give me some feedback on that, because I know you've been through that journey.
Yes.
And hear me. I'm not speaking against God or Jesus. Of course, did you hear what I said? I said, we are the story. We are the church. We are the Bible. We are. So stop thinking that you got to get there to help somebody and to get it and to give it. That's it. You're everything you need to be. You were born worthy. It is your birthright. So stop trying so hard to be something. All these certifications and all these, you are it. You are the certification. You're a living certification. You're a living degree. That's it. That's all I got for right now. Give me your closing thoughts, Kymmie, and we can close out of here in about a few minutes.
Okay. So, yeah, you know, you, I didn't mean, I know you ruffled some feathers on that one, but here's what I would say to that. And I agree with everything that you said. Let's be clear. So I want to make sure I'm 10 toes standing on what I stand on. Mm-hmm. So the thing with that is, it's very difficult for people to see their religious activities and to see the way that they, as you said, have been programmed to serve God outside of that being all that there is.
Yeah.
And I want to encourage people, just because you do not know something does not mean it's not true. Just because you haven't been exposed to it doesn't mean it's not absolute. Just because you don't know how to do something doesn't mean it's not being done. You know, I take me, for instance, I'm new to social media, but that doesn't mean what I bring to social media that I'm new to. I know strategies like the back of my hand. I make strategy development sexy. I make strategy development feel sweet to an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. But if I get on social media, which I'm not on a lot, as you say, guess what? They're going to think I'm new to it. I'm not new to it. I'm just new to social media. So in this context of what has been discussed, a person would have to open their minds to be able to receive. And wherever we allow ourselves to be open-minded to, whatever grace we allow to shed on us, is how far that we'll be able to connect to information beyond what you have been programmed, what you have coveted your whole life, or the only information that you have been exposed to. So a person would have to be open-minded enough to be able to tap in, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Right? But for those who want to go bigger and want to figure out something else that's out there and something else that relates beyond what you've always seen, this is the conversation for you.
Yeah. This is it.
This is it.
Conversation for you.
Because this is what activates your abundance looks like, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It is. And you can activate it. You know, you can do all this from within. It starts with the self-assessment, the self-awareness, you know, and keeping the consistency there is why you need your community. You need some accountability, right? You need the people around you say, oh, you said you were this lady right here really is shifting my entire life. But it took me a couple of years to understand, like, you know, there are some things that take time, you know, for the leap, for the quantum leap, for the big moment. Like, there are things that takes time. Sometimes you don't want the big moment and not be prepared. I think a lot of us have been there, had that moment when something showed up and could have changed your life, but you were not prepared.
That's part of my business model, is to teach them to be more prepared. Because I know a lot of times we want to grab the bag so fast and we don't want to build what we need to build to be the business, to be sustainable. We don't do the work. And so when you get something too fast, you don't know how to do what you need to do with it. Right. You don't know anything to pour out of it nor to pull from it because you didn't take the time to be prepared. So I resonate with everything that you're saying.
Yeah.
It's, you know, we can't be the best version of us as any role we play if we're not willing to be open to ourselves and to things that are above and beyond us.
I agree. Wow. Do you have anything else you want to close out? You want to share with the people?
Yeah, this is going to be a trip, what I'm going to say. So I'm going to read between the lines because we're online. Okay. Mm-hmm. But sometimes people feel like they're not enough and they don't know how to tap into their purpose, or they think that they can't do certain things, or that they don't have something in them for others. I have one fact to prove, and I love saying this, that I know that you have a purpose and that you are destined for greatness, that you are a winner, And that's because when you were released, follow me, you were the first one to the egg. If you were a twin, you made it together, or triplets or whatever. But for the most part, you were the first one to the egg. You beat out millions of these to get to that egg. So how can you come to this realm in this world and not be a winner? It was activated in your DNA. You forgot who you were. You weren't plugged in with the people or the things that showed you who you were. And that's why you released a life that is not in the purpose that you were designed to be. You came out of the manufacturer's warehouse, for a lack of better words, as a winner. It's already in your DNA. It's in your nomenclature. So tap into the things that get you there. Thank you for having me. Thank you, Natalie. Thank you, Cherise. And thank you, audience, for listening to me.
Thank you so much, Kymmie, Marshae. And listen, this is how you transition to triumph, okay? This is how you do it with grace. This is how you navigate it with grace. All right? You can do it. You have everything that you need. All right. So thank you so much. Make sure you share this out. Make sure you tap in and comment. This was an amazing podcast. Natalie, thank you for tapping in. We enjoyed you. Have a great, prosperous, amazing healing time wherever you are, with whoever you're with. And we will see you all next Tuesday. Bye.
Audio Jungle.